come a star. You are my everything and nothing comes between. Cause nitakukumbatia, jusitaki wacha wende, nitakukumbatia tena na tena na tena. Hata ukikuwa na shida tutaweza tu, tutahandle hizo vita, yatapita tu. Nitakukufaitia, anything for you. Nitakukumbatia
tena na tena na tena, nitakukumbatia. Tumi nakupenda, I know we got wishes and a couple of dreams, so we're in the right time, my dear. But nina idea na nyede na bia, so tushike wima. Cheki, tunaweza weka feel kwenda juu, tuko high na vibes ni right. Tunaweza atafika naye basha side juu vibes ni nice. Lona toa mapenzi kama enzi zabo mali kwenye nyi wapenzi wangu, na kawe ni hater nisha kusema kwa mamangu. Can you damn me not after the habu? Cause I'm saying I'm a mama's boy but these streets is safe, so my mama's really gotta love you. I'm saying I'm a mama's boy but these streets is safe, so my mama's really gotta love you.
Dance paka day, chukila tena wenika Valentine's Day.
Unajua siwezi dance, unajua niwenta jembaras, unajua kuna was, unajua ni wewe, yani wewe, okay.
Sit to dance paka day, chukila tena wenika Valentine's Day.
Unajua siwezi dance, unajua niwenta jembaras, unajua kuna was, unajua ni wewe, yani wewe.
Anything you do, when it come a star, you are my everything and nothing comes between. Cause nitakukumbatia, jusitaki wacha wende, nitakukumbatia tena na tena na tena. Hata ukikuwa na shida tutaweza tu, tutahandle hizo vita, yatapita tu. Nitakukufaitia, anything for you. Nitakukumbatia we. Sit to dance paka day, chukila tena wenika Valentine's Day.
Startups on how to yes.
Thinking, I wish you just go back to employment. I think it's that being burnt out of fire. We've been, you know.
Yeah.
for that. No one tells you, you know what, it might fail. No one starts a startup saying, you know what, this might actually fail. Everybody says, you know what, I have an amazing idea, and I will be able to hit the market running and grow and scale. It also doesn't help that we only see Silicon Valley stories, you know? So people look at that story and they think, you know what, I want to be the next XYZ, you know?
Yeah.
Part of my obsession has been, how do we create a platform where we get more of the success stories at a more local level?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're there.
They're there. We have seen many people doing great things. Kenyans are very ambitious, and we've seen them grow to become something big. There are many startup stories that have become so big. So after you failed, you are have now embarked on a new product. Tell us about this project.
Yeah, so I think this new project focuses on the first 3 years. Because we know from the statistics, they're not great. 70% of startups will fail in the first year.
Wow. Those statistics, you don't just throw them. Eh? Let's go slowly.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can start.
Yeah. So a startup will fail within the first, 70% will fail in the first year.
70% of
so
startups
7
will
in
fail.
10 won't make it.
Yeah.
Beyond the first year. And then those 30% that are left, 90% will not make it past year 3. So we know the statistics are terrible. So our ambition is, how do we make sure we start clawing at those statistics? Because they're not great. The tools are there, the techniques are there, we've built the tools. We're now embarked on a journey. We have a new product called Kisima that we launched 2-3 weeks ago together with the Sandbox, which is an entrepreneur ecosystem that has over 33 experts just focused on startups. So we know that the answers are there, and that's why we are here, platforms like this, so that we tell entrepreneurs, even before you start, you need to talk to us. Because the idea is, we're talking about this off air, product market fit has been the biggest reason for failure from our research and from the work that we have done.
What does that product market fit mean?
It's very simple. It just means that, this innovation you've come up with as an entrepreneur, is there a market for it? And then that market, are they willing to pay for it?
Is there a need for this?
Is there a need for
product?
it? And it may sound like a very obvious thing. If you're like, why would you start something where there's no market? But you'd be very surprised how we've met startups that they're starting with $1 million. That's where they're starting from.
Yeah, money
is not the issue, but they haven't obsessed around the customer. If you do not obsess around your customer and their pain points, we start ticking down the clock. You're shutting down. Because and I think it's important we highlight this. Your biggest investor should not be somebody putting in money into your company. Your biggest investor has to be your customer. That's the only sustainable way to do it. Your biggest investor has to be your customer. It has to be somebody removing money from their pocket and saying, I need this thing. I need this product. And I'm going to buy it next time because I love it. Yeah. I enjoyed the experience. And whether it's a product or a service, doesn't matter. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. So we're going to go back to the music. When we come back, you will let us know what are some of the pitfalls you've seen, even in your expertise. What are some? You've told us about the product market, the product market fit. Yeah. The product market fit. What are other things that we need to look at, and how do we start afresh? Okay. Apart from that, we'll be discussing something called 7 streams of income. Do you know that the Bible says that you should invest in 7 different ventures? The Bible. How many ventures do you have? Let's figure it out. So I will be giving you 3 very important strategies of how to get into and to create 7 streams of income. But for now, let's go back to the music. The hashtag is Money Mondays on Icon Radio. Hang out with me, Kang'ethe and Njoroge. Hoping you're having a great time. Enjoy the music.
I know we have our flaws, still we can go straight to straight. See, there is no one else like you. That's my reason why I will love you till time stands still. I will love you.
It's time for business. Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and Njoroge.
I will love you, baby girl. I'll always I will love you till time stands still. Till time stands still. I will love you till time. I will love you, girl. I will love you, girl. Love you till time. I will love you, girl. I will love you, girl. Love you till time. I will love you, girl. Said I will love you,
You're now listening to Icon Radio, your entertainment plan.
Said I will love you, girl. I will love you till time stands still. Hey. I will love you till time stands still. I will love you, baby girl. I always will. Yes, I will. I will love you till time stands still. Yes, I will. Yeah. I will love you till time stands still. Love you till time stands still. I will love you till time stands still. Love you till time stands still. Love you till time stands still. I will love you till time stands still. Love you till time stands still. Love you till time stands still. I will love
You're now listening to Icon Radio, your entertainment plan. It's time for business on Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and Njoroge.
That's Liquid Deep, the song still play right here. Icon Radio, your number one entertainment. Thank you so much for tuning in to Money Mondays. Hang out with me. Amazing guest with me is Herbert, Thuo, the CEO and co-founder of ANSA Africa. We're discussing how to start it right, and of course, is there to tell us how to do exactly that with very great statistics. That 70% of businesses that are started fail, which was such an interesting statistic. That even those that don't fail, they don't reach their third birthday. 90% of those that stay don't reach their birthday. And we're just discussing how do we stop this situation. We've been discussing about the first problem that you've seen with entrepreneurs is market product fit. Yes. Yay! By the time I get out of here, I will be a coach. Yeah. So market product fit. And we discussed about we need to be very sure about what we are starting. Is it? Do people really want it? And how do you do this? Do you do research? How do you know that people don't want it? How do you understand and figure out whether your product is wanted by a lot of people?
I think you mentioned it in passing, the idea of data. I always tell guys, you need to obsess about data.
Yeah.
Because with data you're armed. And when people talk about data and research, you think you're doing big, researches worth millions.
Yeah.
But really, it starts at the very base. If, let's say, for example, today you start a laptop business, you're importing laptops from China. That's your business. we know there's a market because of course people are using laptops. But where's the niche? Have you sat down to actually analyze how many laptops are in supply?
Who is selling all these laptops? I mean, Luthuli Avenue has like enough of those guys.
Exactly. And then you know, if you can look at laptops as a consumer base, right? There may be 10 different types of consumers. There's a business user, there's a gamer, there's a student, there's professional, there's, you know, and you go on and on and on. And until you do that kind of work, don't start. Because what you're doing is trisexing. The language you used to use.
Trisex,
You're hoping, you know there's a market, you have a hunch, but you're going at it. And you might be successful by there. You could be.
Yeah.
But it's such a big hunch. I mean, to then spend
so much money,
time and life and money for something where if you just spent a bit more time
researching and finding out,
got it right the first time.
Yeah. Though people say it's you don't have to start. You know, many, they're called motivational speakers. They're out here telling us to go with whatever we have. Yeah. Even in churches and stuff. So it's very good that you're giving us that caution part because of course knowledge is power. Yeah. What other things have you seen in the startup world that is affecting their growth and their closures?
I mean, once you figure out there's a product and there's market fit, you're onto something. At this point, you need to execute. But before you even get to execution, you need to think of the organization that will deliver this service. Most startups don't spend enough time looking at how are you going to deliver this product or this service to market. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, if I go back to our laptop example, you found that we're going to specialize in gamers. You found that, you know what, there are 10,000 gamers because you collected some data of YouTube, you collected some data from here. You know there are 10,000 gamers out there, and they're willing to pay 90,000 shillings for a gaming laptop. But you, beyond figuring out that that's the product they need, have you thought of the experience? And then who's going to provide customer service? So we call it organizational design, which is figuring out beyond the product itself, how will you run the business? I can shock you. I have clients of mine who are in year 30, but they're still startups. You know why? They've never taken a day off in their lives. They are married. So they're
literally self-employed. It's not being an entrepreneur.
You're basically, you're married to that business. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we shouldn't be obsessed about our businesses, but they actually can't leave. They can't leave. Every time you mention, hey, let's take one day and discuss, they're like, no, my business needs me. And what that tells you is very simple. Below that entrepreneur, there is no business.
Without the entrepreneur is a business.
The entrepreneur is the business. So if he steps aside for a week, pandemonium, chaos. And that's how you know you've not built a business yet. It's a paid hobby. I always like to say it's a paid
an expensive hobby.
Yeah, because now what you're doing is, yes, you may even be employing 100 people. In the case, you find even one of my clients who maybe even has 300-400 people, but they can't leave. And the idea here is very simple. Let's build businesses below us, as entrepreneurs. Let's focus on standard operating procedures.
But what happens when, and I love what you've said, what happens when the organizational, there's no one to fill that gap? I have struggled with getting people to work as efficient as I am in my line of business. And every time I bring someone, it's chaos. You're like, okay, let me just do that job.
I can do it.
Yeah, let me just do it. And so it gets frustrating. You're like, oh, let me just work on some of the things. Of course, you will find other people who in different sectors, but since your main area is really critical, it's very hard to build that organizational structure you're talking about.
And maybe what I'd employ even the listeners is, when we think about organizational design, it's not so much about my 20-30 people. Even yourself, do you have a structure around how you're working? What are the procedures that you've built for the business? Because we agree, you're the HR, right? You're the accountant, you're sales, you're marketing, right? You're everything. Yeah. But then if truly we want to build generational wealth, businesses that outlast us, then we have to start thinking of what are the procedures of HR in my firm, even if you're alone, because that's the only way we will grow. you can't grow if everything is just sort of happening.
Yeah.
And you'd be very surprised that businesses that net even billions of shillings that still don't have processes, and they're a nightmare.
I have seen that.
They're
I have seen that.
They're not growing. And I mean, I always task, and I can task you today. Name for me 10 businesses that have crossed one generation.
They're still in one generation.
Yeah, and there are numbers that are just about to transition. And don't count public companies. Don't count, those kind of guys.
Yeah.
But the reality is they're not many.
Yeah.
The reason for that is very simple. Let's build businesses. A business is not trading. A business is the structures, the procedures, the handovers from one department to another, or from yourself to yourself. You know what I mean? Because most entrepreneurs will be operating alone.
Yeah.
You have to think about this thing, because that's the only way you start talking about growth and scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, nice. And you'll be giving us examples about what you've seen in the market in that sector.
Absolutely.
We talked about ways of how to create 7 streams of income for passive wealth, and I'm getting this from a very resourceful place. The first one is develop a business strategy to create an active income. So you need a way to generate money to investors. Wages, of course, aren't rising as the rate of inflation is growing at such an alarming rate. So how do you keep yourself afloat? So I suggest that doing that through a business than a job. So this should be an actual business and not a side hustle. First of all, you will get side hustle results if you have a side hustle mindset. That's very interesting, having a side hustle mindset.
It is.
Have you seen that in the market?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, during COVID, COVID times, it was very interesting. We call it BC and AC, before COVID, after COVID, right? So during COVID, we had a lot of sort of executives who were pushed out of their jobs, senior people. Companies were laying
laying people off,
right?
Yeah.
And so these guys always had side businesses. They had a farm somewhere, they had a delivery business somewhere. So in the span of like a month, it had to become the main thing. So I think the idea of a side hustle mindset, I think, is something that we should all adopt.
Yeah.
And I think we have the right tools and folks like us who can guide them as they do that.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Yeah, because on the other hand, you don't want to quit your job before you can afford to do so.
No.
So you will need to find something that you can scale, but that is in the beginning you can do without you can do it at your spare time. So in the beginning, something that can be scalable, but can be done in your past, in your spare time.
I would say get a hobby that you're passionate about, that one day you'd love to transform into a business.
That's how you think.
Because the startup life it's difficult. You need to be passionate about what you're doing.
If you're not passionate, who's gonna wake you up? Yeah.
Yeah. There are ups and downs like anything else. But I think it's an extreme sport of its own kind.
Yeah.
And I think with conversations like this, we'll get more people to hopefully have more ups than downs.
And let's listen to some of the people talking to us today. What is that one thing that you wish you were or you knew in business before you got into business? What is that one thing you wish you knew?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I wish somebody had told me that failure is part of it. It seems obvious now, for me, but I got in knowing there's no plan B. It has to work. And when it wasn't working, I told myself, no, I'm not working hard enough. So I kept putting in more. And
more time, more energy,
more
resources.
And you've got family life, you're trying to balance.
Yeah.
But also I think the conversation that's probably not happening enough is mental health around entrepreneurs. Because it is taxing, I can tell you. And I just think, I wish there was a safe space where entrepreneurs could get together and say, oh, you did what? Auctioneers came to you? Oh, mine came last week.
Like every Friday.
Oh,
like
mine came last week.
when they come together. And
exactly.
I think we should create that.
And also, I wish, just the last thing for me is, I wish somebody had created a startup shower. You know the way you have baby showers?
Yeah.
You know the way you have bridal showers?
Yeah.
and stags and whatnot.
Startup shower.
I wish there was a startup shower where entrepreneurs come and say, "Oh, you're starting.
Yeah.
Okay, come. We'll take you to Kitengela, nice place. Do nyama.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what's coming.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the reality. What will hit you, so that even as you make that decision, maybe it can even happen before you leave work or whatever. You can start mentally preparing yourself
to know
what's coming and prepare yourself for the highs and the lows.
Yeah,
because I think that information alone would have prevented me from making
a ton of mistakes. What about you? What is that one thing you wish you would done or wish you were told before you entered into business? Let us know. Icon Radio on all the platforms is where to find us. Let's go back to the music. When we come back, more from ANSA.
Is there ever food in this house?
This is how the story ends. You found a replacement. I thought that she was just a friend, but you were just pacing, in a position to be taking my place. You said you needed time away, so I gave you a space. You see, now you the type of guy to give your homies a bad rep. Unofficial gains on my love, you's a bad rep. All around town, I hear stories all around. You be making this painting really look like a clown. Oh wait, that is really cool. I'm a player, and now I finally got you going like a layer. That you were only here for a good time, not a long time. Ever since you saw no sunshine, it was bye-bye. Got yourself a new babe, you didn't even take time. Guess I gotta let you go, cause you already out the door. And man, I wish you the best. I hope the grass is truly greener on the other side.
If you wanna live, go, baby, don't come back. Go, baby, if you wanna live, go, baby, yeah. Go, baby, don't come back. That good love, it's hard to find a goodbye. I don't deserve to cry. Go, baby, don't come back.
Right now, is she really everything that you wanted her to be? Does she do it better than me? Cause boy, I gave you everything. You were number one, put you up on a pedestal, but you chose to run. And that's the last thought I have about you. Got so many other options, I don't even gotta choose. So I'ma keep it walking like I got some Jimmy Choos. You thought I wasn't gonna move,
I think I should just go.
Back. Go, baby, if you wanna live, go, baby, yeah. Go, baby, don't come back. That good love, it's hard to find a goodbye. I don't deserve to cry. Go, baby, don't come back. I won't be the one to make you stay. Now what the hell is wrong with you? Who do you think you are? Take me for a fool, oh, go figure. Didn't think I'll find out. Jibu maswali ukishindwa basi uende kwa kasi hakuna nafasi. Now what the hell is wrong with you? Let me tell you one time, I'm gonna live. Go, baby, don't come back. Go, baby, if you wanna live. Go, baby, yeah, yeah. Go, baby, don't come back. That good love, it's hard to find a goodbye. I don't deserve to cry. Go, baby, don't come back. I won't be the one to make you stay. The grass is just greener, and boy, you should see it. It's growing right under me. Yeah.
now listening to Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug.
Bado ninayo penzi liso kifani, imani moyoni, utarudi nyumbani. Binadamu si ukosa, mradi tu unisamehe. Rudi nyumbani, mina kuita, nimekumisi. Siku nyingi nimekuwa nikilia, naona ni kama dunia inanitania. Kurudi kwako mpenzi nitashangilia, rudi nimekumisi.
It's time for business on Money Mondays.
Siku nyingi nimekuwa nikilia, naona ni kama dunia inanitania. Kurudi kwako mpenzi nitashangilia, rudi nimekumisi. Rudi
Hauje unieleze leo kesho au siku nyingine. Nimekungojea siku mingi mama, rudi nimekumisi. Hauje unieleze leo kesho au siku nyingine. Nimekungojea siku mingi mama, rudi nimekumisi.
Siku mingi nimekuwa nikilia,
kama dunia
inanitania.
Rudi kwako mpenzi
nitashangilia.
You now listening to Icon Radio.
Siku mingi nimekuwa nikilia,
kama dunia
yanitania.
Rudi kwako mpenzi
nitashangilia. Nimekumisi. Rudi nimekumisi. Rudi nimekumisi.
The beautiful sounds of Monique featuring Bien. The song is Rudy, playing right here on Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. Thank you so much for tuning in to Money Mondays with me, Kang'ethe Njoroge. I am so grateful to be here and have an amazing guest, Herbert Thuo from ANSA Africa, trying to tell us some of the things we need to do when we're starting a business and how to do it right. I can see I have someone who called Michael Ngigi, who is answering the question I had before we went on a break. And the question was, what is that one thing you wish you knew before you entered into business? He says, I did not know what I was signing myself up for. The long hours, the stresses, I don't even know why I'm still here. And I will be posting, and of course sampling some of the things you're saying. The hashtag is Money Mondays on all our social media platforms. ANSA, Thuo, you've heard what he says. You know, and I think people do not really understand what they're putting themselves into when they are going into business. It's a crazy situation.
That's ridiculous. I just think that you go through 24 years of schooling, no one prepares you for that. I just think it's ridiculous that you go through all that.
Yeah.
Because the reality is our system prepares us to be employees.
Yeah.
That's the reality. You go through 20-something odd years to be a good manager.
Yeah.
Of resources, or to be a good worker. And that's, I guess, a little different from the West, where their training is geared around innovation, around creating.
You know, I was speaking with a friend of mine over the weekend, and we were talking about. I had thought about this. Most of the major CEOs or people who really made it never used to study in Kenya, or even people who started very good startups that are really thriving. Most of them never schooled in Kenya, and I wondered, you know. When you look at some of the CVs, they're all, I was in Oxford, I was in, you know, they were not in Kenya.
Yeah, but I think that's a part of the narrative that we need to change. I was giving you a story off air about some ladies in Karatina started selling tomatoes and selling them.
I need to meet them, man. Yeah, just hook me up.
They started selling tomatoes into Marikiti and some of the other markets. That's maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Right now, they have more than 20 flats in Githurai, assets they hold.
Yeah.
Their revenue is in the multi-million per day.
What?
Yeah. So, what school did they go to? You get my point?
Yeah.
Right? I just think that
School of Hard Knocks, maybe.
School of Hard Knocks, right? So, little to do with, I think, the schooling. I think it's the mindset.
It's the mindset.
You talked about it at the beginning. I think if we create a mindset where it's okay to fail, it's okay to try, it's okay to create, then I think we're onto something. You know, a friend of mine from Nigeria was telling me that when you finish school in Nigeria and you get a big job with the big oil companies, because they're the ones who really hire big people there.
Yeah.
It's almost a sign of shame to your family. It's embarrassing because in Nigeria, the culture, the mindset is you leave the village, you go study, you create something, you employ half the village.
No way.
Look at that mindset.
So it's you have to go out and create.
Not waiting. You don't have to, but it's like that's a mark of success, that you are able to go start something, build it into something big enough that can, you know, that's why your village is sending you to the big city, right?
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I'm not saying we subscribe to that, but there's a mindset shift that needs to happen. And for those who are already employed and thinking, you know what, this is in 2-3 years, I want to make that transition. Start making that transition now.
Yeah.
Because it's a mindset thing, first of all, before it becomes an actual move.
Yeah. You have to, it's called what? Conquer your mind before.
You have to, and go to school.
Yeah.
And not school of MBA and not school of university, but the school of learning. Get a hunger to learn.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff on the internet. I mean, it's embarrassing for us not to be at the same level with a lot of our peers around the world, because on the internet there's absolutely everything.
There's everything that people need to know.
Dive in, join programs like Kisima from ANSA and Sandbox.
Yeah.
We'll move on from there.
And we'll get to your program in a bit. But apart from that fact that it's you're continuing to help, what are other things that you've seen in that sector where we need to talk about? That you've seen SMEs struggling with. No, and how do they start it, right?
Especially once they start and they're moving and they're running, you know, one of the biggest issues they have is now financial modeling. So you hear people talk about capital as the cause of why we fail.
Lack of capital has been
really,
ever since I started
I don't
speaking about SMEs.
I don't like it. I don't like it because it's deceitful in the sense that if we did a good strategy, if we had worked on the data, like I told you, if we had done the product market fit, we know how much capital is required a year, 2 years from now. But also more importantly, small things like cash flow management, mixing personal and business.
Yeah.
Those things are the ones that also eat up into the perceived capital. So I think more entrepreneurs need to focus on investor readiness, but also market readiness. Even as they're working on being ready for the market, for the customer, you need to build an investable business that friends and family would say, you know what?
Shike pesa.
Yeah, man, I love, without doing fancy pitch decks, we're not talking about pitch decks here. We're saying, as an uncle, I should be able to see one of my niece's businesses and say, you know what, I see you onto something here. What are you lacking? Say, oh no, you know what, we really want to hire a marketing company. We need 50,000 per month. okay, count me in. Count me in for the whole year.
Yeah.
And I think if we, as we focus on building businesses and growing them, that's where we need to be thinking. If your own relatives cannot invest in your business, if you talk to large investors,
and
I know people will talk about this. They usually say, how much do you raise in your friends and family round? There's a good reason for that. Your friends and family are your biggest source of verification at that early stage.
Because when they agree that your business is running, they will invest in it. When they invest in it, you have answered a lot of questions.
Correct. And also, you're willing to take the risk at a family level.
Yeah.
Meaning if it fails, you're willing to
to pay for it.
Yeah, because the next family function, you're the core discussion item. So I think if we spend a little more time on product market fit, like we discussed, obsessing around data, and also figuring out financial management, separating personal from the business, then I think we should be onto something. Then get a coach. We get a coach for everything else in life, including religion.
Is a coach that important?
I think it is, because the idea behind a coach, if you remove it from even the entrepreneurial context, in sports, there are teams without coaches. I'm sure they're there, but how well are they doing?
No, I don't think that team without.
There's a reason. There's even a reason why, if you're a fan of the Premier League, you hear them talk about this team that is managerless. It is such a big deal, because you need a vision,
guide,
somebody who is guiding you and walking with you. And even you talked about the Bible at the beginning. Jesus was the ultimate shepherd, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
And I think even in the entrepreneurial context, you do need somebody walking with you, especially those first 3 years. You have to find something, man. You have to.
All right, that's interesting. Let's get back to the music. When we come back, you will now have to let us know what are the ticks we should be doing from the beginning to the end, so we know whether we're on the right track or not on the right track. Please keep on letting us know, what is that one thing you wish you knew before you started your business. I'll be sampling them in the course of the show. This is Icon Radio, #1 entertainment plug. Hang out with me, Kang'ethe Njoroge, on Money Mondays.
Your #1 entertainment plug.
If I had your number, I'd be forever texting you. Even Kikamba would be the language that we use. Could be no other, no. Come on now, MCO, I hope you understand. You're the best that I have. If I had your number, I'd be forever calling you. I hope you answer, girl. We speak the Luo when we through. Nyakoti better than delay. I told it better than delay. And if love had a face, it would be yours. If love had a face, it would be yours. If love had a face, it would be yours. If love had a face, it would be yours. I hate each other. I hate it, Kang'ethe. 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 I got your number from your friend Roshera. Akanipa mawaidha, eti unapenda maua, eti nipige pamba na marashi ya kishua, kisha tuende dina, nikupigie kagita. And if love had a face, it would be yours. If love had a face, it would be yours. If love had a face, it would be yours. If love had a face, it would be yours. I
sounds of Q with someone. Where did this go to? You know, they were really bringing it on, and hope that they will ever come back. This is Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. Hang out with me, Kang'ethe Njoroge, on Mondays. Hoping you're having a great time. I can see a lot of people listening all the way on our YouTube channel, our live YouTube channel. I want to say shout outs to Winnie, Kamau, Karibu Sana, Zeshari Jean, thank you so much. I can see saying, man, I have been calling my paid hobby a job. Emotional damage, my heart. Don't be broken. That is why we're here. And I can see a lot of you putting in some of your comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. But we go back to our story. I'm here with ANSA Africa CEO Herbert Thuo. We're talking about how to start it right if you're getting into business. We've said a lot of things. Mostly, one, you need to get market placement.
Product market fit.
Oh yeah. Product market fit. You need to make sure that your product is good. There's also organizational design, and the third one was
you talked about cash flow, financial management.
What are other things that people need to look at? I know for me, and probably because I didn't do a lot of research, as you said, was I wish I knew how much I was going to invest, and I am going to be the brokest person.
People are looking at you as the source.
Yes, and I thought that this is the amount of money actually I needed. Kumbe, kwa ground things are very different when you're starting, and so you definitely need to. For me, I think definitely need to think about what you're getting yourself into, because most of the money will go in the next 1 to 2 years. You gotta be ready. You gotta be financially ready to make sure that you're able to protect yourself, despite if nothing is gonna happen those 2 years. We never know how long probably a business will take, but you gotta be ready, man. I think that is one thing I was not told when I was joining.
And that's the home of strategy. You know what you're talking about there, because what strategy will do, it will lay out the facts, the assumptions, and the pitfalls. You can even see some of them coming, and whilst of course you can't see the future, you can prepare for the future. So I think one of the things we tell startups, SMEs, is plan for the future, right? And of course that's the role of business plans and pitch decks and all that, but I think you have to envision the future you want to be. You know, you have to have a target that you're going towards, right? And you may actually realize by planning, it may help you avoid some pitfalls as a result. Because
planning is very important. I have a very interesting question. Do mama mbogas need a business strategy?
They do have strategy. You'd be surprised. I think a lot of people think as long as you're not in a boardroom, there's no strategy. But the way they source, who they source from, the timings of trade, how they manage cash flow, there's a reason these businesses are successful.
There's a reason why.
And there's a reason also that Mamambogas were the same place they were in 1985. They're exactly the same place. But there are others that have now transformed into hotels. Others have transformed into chains. Right? I think always a challenge, guys, get out of Nairobi. Nairobi is not Kenya. You know what? Once you really travel, get out there, you'll see some very interesting business models. I mean, if you want to know I'm right, a lot of the biggest retail chains that we are blessed with, where did they come from? They didn't come from Nairobi.
They're not from Nairobi.
They're from Nakuru and all sorts of different places. So, prepare as much as you can. And then what I always say is prepare for change. It's coming. Prepare for change. Assume that next year, this customer who is so passionate about what you're selling, he won't exist next year. So what's your plan?
What do you mean?
What's your plan?
How do you... I will just die with my business. I'll say it's been real. It's a wrap.
Yeah, but then again, you see, that's the thing, right? Most entrepreneurs go in like that. You say, back to our laptop example, I'm going to bring in a whole container of laptops for gamers, right? But that's our plan A, B, and C. But if you're a sharp entrepreneur, you're thinking about the pitfalls. You have a strategy in place. You have a plan B that involves breaking down those laptops, removing the memory cards, and maybe selling the memory cards on their own as salvage. Something like that, where you're not always thinking about what we call happy path.
because it's not gonna always be about happiness.
It's not just about happy part. And I think that's where now the role of a coach would come in. That's where the power of some of these programs we're talking about really play a very big role.
Yeah. So they play a big role, and it's important. Let's say I am starting. Yep. I think the most important or the most ignored thing is selling your products. And there's always the market has feet. Yes, you have capital to start.
Yeah.
But now pushing that product out. What is one marketing thing that you know?
That's interesting.
You learned that we should know.
No, I think the power, it depends. So let's break it into two. I think if you're selling to other businesses, meaning your B2B, I think LinkedIn is your best friend. LinkedIn is one of the most powerful tools that's available.
Yeah.
You know, if you're selling directly to customers, so B2C, where you're either going directly or through a retail channel, social media is everything. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the converted, but I have a client of mine who has she's in the beauty industry.
Yes.
And she does cosmetics, hair products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And her warehouse is no bigger than, I think where we are is actually
big.
It's giant. But her turnover is 1.5 million shillings a day.
No way.
Yeah.
A day.
On social media, her entire business is on Instagram. And I know many people have seen this because a lot of people now buy things almost exclusively on Instagram. My wife does a phenomenal amount of shopping, especially for clothes and for the babies online, right? It's such a powerful platform for discovery.
Yeah.
So it's not about waiting until you have capital to have a stall at, in Mall, on my avenue or whatever. That thing, how much does Instagram cost you?
Zero.
Yeah. So I think if you have all the other ducks in place, social media is your absolute best friend.
Use it wisely.
But use it wisely. It can also be quite useless actually if not used in the right way.
The other thing I think I would want to get help on is on partnerships. I think we've seen a lot of people in partnerships that break up, or people talk about, are very hurt about their former partners who made things very difficult for them, and probably not even knowing your partner's rights.
I think about the trick about co-founders is it's a marriage. Let's not beat around it is a marriage. You're going to have to share certain resources. And the same journey that married couples take of courtship.
I keep on hearing that.
Of courtship and going through breakups and to mekosana for a week, we come back together. It's the same journey that co-founders should take. And I think it's understated. I've seen co-founders who have been together 20 years and they break up eventually. The fundamentals have to be right. What are these fundamentals? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this together? So there's something called a really small thing, and guys can Google. If you're going into a relationship like that, you have to have a shareholders agreement. You can ask guys to just Google that. Shareholders agreement.
Shareholders agreement.
And what a shareholders agreement does, it's very simple. It goes into the nitty-gritties of what happens if you're not longer interested in this business. What happens when we make $1 million? How do we split it? Who gets paid a higher salary? Who has decisions on hiring, on firing? And what happens, God forbid, if you pass away and your spouse now takes control of the company? What control do they have? So those kind of discussions, because we don't like having them, they're a bit uncomfortable. So a lot of co-founders don't have shareholders agreements. And I think if we invested in this, and I'm sure you have lawyers who, on the platform. These are things that they can sort you out with.
Shareholders agreement.
Shareholding, sharing profits, sharing losses, responsibilities, who's in charge of what. I think until we put those on the table, we'll always have partnerships that are not working.
So what if it's not working and you still have the dream?
Well, you can always, if you're as passionate about it, you can always continue on your own. Again, please lay out, even if you're together already, get a shareholders agreement, even if you've been together, because it might force you to have a few uncomfortable conversations that could save the company potentially during a rough period.
So be very careful when you're entering into such kind of businesses with different people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, interesting. Before we get back to the music, I want us to talk about the creating the 7 streams of income. So first of all, we've said biashara is really good. It helps you actualize and see yourself grow. Of course, you say that make sure that your biashara is not just a side hustle, something that can be able to be scaled above. So what else can you do to help yourself get to the other 7 streams of income? And the second one is developing an investment strategy to create passive income. So the next thing you need to do is invest your money. So you need to find assets to buy that pay you to hold them. I don't know. And I've seen somewhere on our YouTube channel someone say, I think it was Winnie, you can't take a loan to buy stocks, and it's something I think we need to talk about. It's very interesting. You need to find assets to buy that pay you to hold them. They will become a source of passive income. This will be reasonably conservative, time-tested investment that will protect your money long term. This will be your primary investment strategy. So it isn't something that you want to do to be changing every month. So it's something that you can save for 3 or 4 months. You're putting aside this amount of money to that will create a lot of money. I think for me, money market fund has been such a good opportunity to just forget about that those two side hustles that come. You just get some and put them in the money market fund. I think that has really been a very good passive income.
Yeah, but something that Winnie has said there about stocks and loans. I think
taking a loan to buy a stock.
And there are a lot of folks who are listening who are probably in the trading business where you need to buy stocks
and then you sell. Yeah, speculative.
I wouldn't say don't take a loan, but do your numbers. Know your numbers.
Yeah.
And for the simple reason that, let's take an example. Our laptop business. Maybe after this we'll both go into a
start the laptop.
And you're making what? You're making 10% margin on the laptops, right? We're buying at 100,000, 90,000. We're selling for 100,000.
Yeah,
all in.
Yes.
You then go to a bank, and you get a loan at what? 14%.
Yes.
What are we doing? And then not to make matters worse, your laptops are not cash business. You've got a portion that you're selling to companies, so your money is cycling back 90 days later. So it's no wonder Winnie is saying that, because the reality is you're financing the bank. You're working
you're working for the bank.
Yeah. So, and I think until we get newer models of financing, and it's kind of an obsession of mine going into next year, is how do we build capital models that work for SMEs and startups in this country, and not just in this country, in Africa. There's a $339 billion financing gap in Africa.
$339 billion.
It's huge. It's massive. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
And everybody can see it. Just the how. Because guys will say, "Oh no, these businesses, they don't have data. How do you know they'll survive?"
Yeah.
A lot of them are briefcase companies.
But I don't know that there's a Nigerian company that started that. So they tell you to invest as little as 10 shillings.
Yeah.
On an app, and then what they do is they invest that money for you, and you get dividend. I didn't because when I was researching about them, they had gotten some bit of funding, but I didn't understand how the nitty-gritty of that would look like. But I agree with you. There's a gap where people really want to have side hustles, but they can't. But they can invest in some side hustles if they know that they'll get their money back. Now, with what is going on in the Kenyan market, where people are just being given money by investors and they decide it's a wrap, and they close shop. Yeah. So I think that there's an opportunity for
sure.
many people to invest in companies, but we need a strategy where I think it's a need.
Well, just on that point, I mean, you saw the launch of the new NSE sort of index, where now you have a lot of SMEs that hopefully will be able to go the NSE route and list on the NSE. I mean, that's one way. I think that could help, because then it expands the space, because all of a sudden it means you in 5 years could have a company listed, right? That's at least on paper, that's the journey. But I think until we get more of ourselves, our own people investing in our own businesses, That's the only point at which we will talk about exponential growth.
Yeah.
And really biting at that gap. We don't have a good platform. We don't have.
Because I know if I have my 50K and I want to raise it to,
you don't need it right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could give this money to a certain startup that really needs it, and if I give them, I am sure, I am guaranteed that I will get my investment.
Your returns. Yeah, but because there's no platform like that, startups are too risky. You don't want to put your money there. You know what? You go hustle with your own. You figure it out. But you're right. I mean, if we had a platform where, you know what, I've got 50K, I don't need it. And next month I'll have some 10K, and the other month I'll have. Is there a place I could be parking this money? So apart from your money markets and some of your,
again, I feel like money markets
tools,
I feel like also money. I don't know them. Just risk averse or just being young. Sometimes I feel like money market is just kidogo sana. The percentage is too little. I'm like, I'm giving you all this money, and though there's something I'm getting from it, it's just not something I can bank on.
But I guess it's about balance in the sense that with money market you get a certain level of guarantee. For the return you're getting, it's actually not bad at all. I don't know whether you know this, but in parts of Africa, some of the highest returns on capital invested in the world. It's a very attractive place to invest. The only challenge is the risks. So some of the companies or the investors who have been able to crack that are making a ton load of cash. But the idea is, imagine if we did it at scale, so that now, if it's your mama mbogas that you were talking about just now, I create a platform where I could be in Nyandarua and I'm investing in a mama mboga who wants to go from Malindi and she wants to have 10 branches. She needs 3 million shillings. Not a problem. There's a platform. I put it there. I know that in 2 years I'm getting my money back. We're not there yet, but I think the discussions are starting, and I think even if you look at what the new government is doing, I think the energy is in the right place. I think the execution is what will require a bit of consultation.
The problem is with do you feel that the closure of more than the 5 startups that happened this year, most of the startups that had been given the most money in investment, do you think that will also affect what we will be getting in terms of investment in startups in Africa?
Well, I don't think it sheds a lot of good light because it's negative press. You have these highly capitalized startups that were were good on paper. They were doing some great stuff, but it comes back to the first thing we started talking about, right? Product market fit.
Product market fit. I think that's
who is the customer.
If you don't go home with anything else, please.
Man, you need
product market fit.
And I'll tell you what, for anybody out there, it's about obsessing about product market fit. Even when you get it, just know you lose it tomorrow. Have that mentality. Because if you analyze, and again, I'm not the expert in sort of large startups that are highly capitalized, but speaking to different folks, you'll hear that same thing, product market fit. In the case of one of them, are you saying that Kenyans don't eat?
Well,
where do they eat, right?
The food in Nairobi is very expensive. I was like, please, come I take you to places I eat.
But that's exactly it. Listen to what you just said, right? Come I take you to a place. I've got a kibanda I usually go to where for 150 I'm sorted. And so did they talk to you?
No.
Yet ideally you're their customer.
It was a
boardroom discussion. And so I think until we obsess around product market fit, they're coming, more coming. More on the way.
Yeah, that's true. Let's get back to the music. When we come back, more talk. And of course, if you want to join in our conversation, please go to all our handles, Icon Radio, and all our handles on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even on LinkedIn, and let's chit chat.
Been walking down this road for about 35 years now. And I can tell you, it's been one hell of a ride. And I've been carrying my father's words that he said to me. Learn to be wise, walk with integrity, and be honest. And I can hear my grandma say, child, I've got nothing to give to you, but may God be with you. in that distant land. Yeah. I am an African girl. Well, I know where I'm coming from, and I know who I wanna be. I am trying to defy everything they said of us, we who have chocolate skin. In the back of my mind, all I can hear
It's time for business on Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and Njoroge.
Voices of those who are here, those who've already gone, and I can hear them whispering, what are we told? When you go to their land, please represent us well. And I can hear my grandma say, child, I've got nothing to give to you, but may God be with you in that distant land. I am an African girl. Well, I know where I'm coming from, and I know who I wanna be. I am trying to defy everything they said of us, we who have chocolate skin. I am an African girl. Well, I know where I'm coming from, and I know who I wanna be.
It's time for business on Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and Njoroge.
So I will see. So I will see.
It's time for business on Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and Njoroge.
And I know who I wanna be. I am an African girl. Well, I know where I'm coming from, and I know who I wanna be.
You're now listening to Icon Radio, your number one entertainment flag.
Penzi lako tam, tam. Penzi lako tam, would you give me that? Penzi lako tam.
It's time for business on Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and Njoroge. It's time for business on Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and Njoroge.
Oh, the Shari Jean song Kama Wewe. Hey, such a dope track. Thank you, Shari, for, of course, giving us such a blessing with your music. Thank you so much. And all of you tuned in to Money Mondays. I can see Farmer on Fire saying that you're loving the show. Thank you so much. Myra Maloba saying a shareholders agreement is a make or break for any partnership. It's better to get it done from the onset. And I can see someone else talking about how we should talk more about money market fund, and that will come in other subsequent shows. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm still here with our answer person with all the answers, Answer Africa. Mr. Thuo, just discussing about some of the things you need to do to get it right in the first time. And of course, we've talked about a lot of things. And so I want you to give us the 5 top things you need to tick. 5 top things you need to tick before you start a business.
Before you start. So number 1 is get your mindset right.
Yeah, the mindset.
Man, mindset is everything. And the mindset is that of, especially if you're coming from corporate, you're coming from an environment that's very well structured. You need to reorient your mind that this is a completely different environment. The risks are higher. There's a lot of unstructuredness.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Mindset. Second thing, obsess around the customer. That thing I'm telling you, obsessing about the customer. Get
obsess
the
around the customer.
Right, because you don't, without that, you don't have a business. Once you have that, then figure out your organizational design. Try and think about what kind of processes do I need to have in my company.
Yeah.
If we're looking at our laptop business, for example, how do we make sure such that within 60 days we can clear from the port, we can pay our taxes on time, we move the products to the customer, we provide receipts on time. You know, those back end things that they don't look that important.
Yeah.
And then who's doing our social media posts? How often do we put them out? You know, those small
what exactly are you putting on your social media as well?
Exactly,
because
yeah.
You just don't put anything on social media.
Yeah, then once you figure that out, develop a strategy. You have to have a strategy. What do they say about not planning? You know,
you plan to fail. Failing to plan is planning to fail.
Exactly. And you know what? You may not get everything right the first time.
Yeah.
But at least have a foundation so that you can keep tweaking. I always like to give the example. If you and I are driving from here to Thika, there may be 4 or 5 routes we can use. We can go Eastern Bypass, Eastern Highway, we can go through Committee Road. You know, there's so many different ways.
Yes.
So you and I are clear about that, right? But then how many times do I adjust the steering between here and Thika? Imagine, how many times do you move the steering?
A lot.
Must be a million. I don't even know how many times. And I think that's the mindset that entrepreneurs must have. The idea of pivoting. Keep pivoting as you go on.
When you talk about pivoting, I just remember that one scene, if you ever watched Friends, where Joy was taking.
I know your age now.
No, Friends. Everybody watches Friends.
Oh man, that's a category. Yeah. Well, another discussion for another day.
So you remember that part when you were saying private, like people they were taking the seat upstairs, and someone was so mad and was saying,
I remember
it was really mad, and because probably that's what people feel like. Okay, so now I've gone this side. And I've gone this other side. Yeah. When is that hold on ever gonna stop? But probably is when you just find the right path.
Yeah, I think the idea of also in another forum earlier in the day where they were discussing the idea of perfection, and that we come in with the mindset that we have to be perfect. I think entrepreneurship is one of those environments where you're not supposed to be perfect. It actually hedges on you not being perfect. Yeah. Because then you're able to constantly make the right tweaks at the right time. It's a game. It's a constant game. And even, I'll shock you, even when you feel you're confident and you're doing well and your product market fit, that's the point at which you should be the most uncomfortable. And that's why you have to be passionate. Yeah. Because it's a journey. And it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not about raising capital. It's not about making that money. If that's your objective, then you're going to be in a bit of trouble because there's so many hurdles, and it's a marathon. It's 42K. Yeah,
it's not a one.
It's
day.
Not the family run. It's not the. It's not the 5K family run. It's a marathon.
Yeah. Because nowadays, especially the as you talked about our ages, Gen Z is. Like they're saying, me, if this is not working for me, I'm not staying. Yeah. You know, and I like that. You know, there's one young person I had the other day had quit school as 16-year-old. Now is making millions on TikTok just because she said, "Yo, this is not my path. This is where I'm going." You know, so it's interesting to see the generations that might not know what a journey means. There's all this about instant things. Even now in different places, everything is instant. Yeah. And it's so hard. Everything is a microwave
away. Yeah. 5 seconds away.
Yeah. And it's so hard to get people to learn and understand that it's a whole journey.
And I think we're gonna have a big problem in a few years. Maybe the next 5 years or so. Yeah. When a lot of, because I know who you're talking about. You're talking about these guys under 20, maybe 5, 6. Yeah. Who didn't go the conventional path. They're making a ton of cash. Yeah. Through especially influencing social media. And I know guys who are doing gaming. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Professionally now. So these guys have gone into entrepreneurship sort of like that. Yeah. Now the problem is it's gonna get to a point where, especially if you're not obsessing around that product market fit,
focusing on the customer,
you're gonna get to a point where you're
getting obsessed with the customer.
Oh man, you have to be obsessed. And if once you get to that point, and then you don't have the tools, you don't have anyone working with you, all of a sudden you start losing your audience. Yeah. And if you look at the most successful influencers, even in Kenya today, just look at them carefully. They're obsessed around their audience.
They're always creating stories.
And not just stories, they're constantly trying to find what's the next thing. And obsessing around what do they need next. Yeah. What don't they think? I mean, and if you look at some of my wife was telling me about some of the influencers in the baby care space. And it's not even the choice of brands that they sponsor. It's so intentional. They would even rather turn down money, right?
Then go with the brand.
That would mess up their audience. That's obsession. Yeah. That means that my customer knows everything, and I will build my entire business for that customer. Yeah. It's not a bad way to live.
Yeah. I saw one influencer called Rispa Faith had to do something crazy. And she said, I did this because my business was going down and whatever she was selling was going down. I had to do it for my business. That is someone who is obsessed and knows exactly what people want.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not just about that first customer that you started your business with. Yeah. I think just like you're talking about your 7 streams of income, you need multiple types of customers. Yeah. So as you grow from day one startup to a teenage startup, you need to be thinking, who's your second, third, fourth type of customer? So back to our laptop example, that's the gamer, but we need to be thinking about the hyper gamer. This is a gamer who is on another level, playing international competitions. We need to think of the entry level gamer who has 30,000 shillings, not 90.
Yeah.
So as then you start to obsess, you'll find new customer groups. Then you can build products around them.
You can build
new solutions, new products around them.
And as we talk about how to make or to create 7 or more streams for yourself, we talked about the first one, developing a business strategy to create an active income. Then after that, you develop an investment strategy to create a passive income. Now the third one is diversify based on your niche. Now at this point, you only have 2 streams of income. One is your business and the second is your investment. Now is the time you need to create 5 more. That should be based on your industry for most of the part. Don't try to go too far outside your area of expertise, because if you are in cryptocurrency niche, please go ahead and be on that. If you're thinking about ways to expand within your niche, always try to think about how to expand within your niche. But there are people who, of course, even in business, it's very easy to be told business ni hapa kule. They do not invest in their niche or their expertise. Is there something bad about that when you're starting, looking at probably the niche you're in?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to what the plan is. Like that example you were giving where they sort of ended up there and started doing something different from what they had planned.
Yeah.
That's somebody who doesn't have a plan B. It really just depends, because if this is your plan A to Z, you will find out. All we are saying is, as you're finding your way, let's arm you with the right tool. Let's arm you with information.
Yeah.
We're talking about off-air about successful case studies.
Yeah.
That are not the big startups.
They are big startups.
There are thousands of startups out here that are doing amazing things. Just don't get the platform. And maybe they're not doing as cute things. It's not in fintech. It's not in tech, right? But they're making multi-million shillings solving actual problems that Africans have every day.
All right, let's go back to music. When we come back, you let us know more about now your product and how you're helping SMEs in that area.
It is a weekend.
Teluchi niseme nisiseme ama vipi nikisema mutanisema. Teluchi mi niseme ama vipi nikisema mutanisema. Kashereka na shika manganya pararira kwako na kuna vile maodi wanashikisha manguna wanapita uzereza uziza na cheki kokona yakuza akona aziza pose
Floni motorudia.
Vinywaji kwenye pipa Nimore amefika namona na Nikita akipiga matikita DJ anashikisha watu wanakatika huku ni kunoma weekend si tunatanito Monday usiniko Tuesday pia siko Nidungie ikifika Friday uniulize
Kwani uko
Juleo ni weekend
Stepping at the place, make me look master. Open up the way, songa faster, faster. When you see me come, you know the party don't stop. Stop, 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 stop. Let you know your nice, big and straight in the eyes. I've been working hard, man, them winning in life. Had to buy a tissue, had to roll my dice. Like it come, I do not do it twice. Bring back the vibe, kashereka meshika, manganya pararira. Jaribu leta vita juicy nanga tilalila. Savara wananita, entertainment minister. Leta shida zako madam, nitatatua.
Kwani uko
sina sina tubamba 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 sina sina tubamba.
It is a weekend. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but it's the weekend. It is a weekend. It is a weekend.
It is a weekend. Well, the weekend just ended. But here at Icon Radio, every day is a weekend. Your number one entertainment flag. Thank you for tuning in to Money Mondays with me, Kang'ethe and Njoroge. And I'm hoping that you've had a great session. I can see a lot of interaction on social media. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, I am still hanging out with Mr. Thuo, who is here from ANSA Africa, telling us more about how to start it right. And now he has a company that helps people to start it out, and I didn't understand your product. Maybe you could let us know, how do you do it, and how can people reach you?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we've designed an 8-week program together with our friends over at the Sandbox, and the idea is this 8-week program takes you through the rigors, right? It's 2 hours every week, right? And then in between there's a lot of homework. There's a lot of actual building together, doing together, and we move through 8 different modules. Everything from product market fit that we've been talking about, customer pricing, design of the organization, HR. So we try and look at the overall strategy of the business, so that even as you start, or even before you start, you have a pretty good idea
of what you're getting yourself into.
What you're getting yourself into.
I think that was the first.
It's starting it right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole idea of this show. And I think that if we get more people starting it right, then those statistics we were crying about earlier, then we start to really eat at them.
All right, that's amazing. How do we get in touch with you?
So I'm on LinkedIn as Herbert Thuo, on Twitter Herbert Thuo, on Instagram as well, same. You can also email me h2o@ansa.co.ke.
h2o@ansa.co.ke.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's talk about some things that we need to know about you. First of all, who is your role model? Who do you look up to?
Oh wow, that's a good question. Who do I look up to? I think in many ways my mom. Because I've seen my mom is also an entrepreneur, so maybe I had that going, and
I think that's I think it's important to see your parents do that.
I've seen her go through it, through the lessons we're talking about here. I've seen them, right?
Yes.
And she's doing very well now, but I think she's been my coach in waiting. I think I've seen her struggle. That has then informed my journey, and because it's so close to me, it's not far. It's not Bill Gates. It's not it's not something I watch on TV. I've seen it. And then seeing the struggle and then the triumph. I think that absolutely
after the struggle,
that is my model.
Okay. Yeah. What's your best business advice you will give them
to the audience?
Yeah, or your best business advice you've ever gotten from?
Take a break. Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive from everything we talked about. There's this notion that because you're an entrepreneur, you're supposed to be working
all the time.
There's a maxim, there's a wisdom in saying every week
you need
go 30,000 feet. Look at the business from above. Stop being tactical. Stop doing.
Just hold up.
Come and just see, where are we?
Every week go 30,000 feet. And
very difficult for folks to grasp around it. But take a break. Go 30,000 feet. And because as an entrepreneur, you don't have a jet, you have a helicopter. You can land straight down. You don't need a runway, right? And go back and continue running the business. But I think it's so important that there's a mental health conversation around entrepreneurship that I think needs to get louder. And it's because we don't allow ourselves to be human. It's almost you almost have to be superhuman almost.
You must succeed.
And the pressure is immense. And you took loans, and I don't know what else you did. And you're the breadwinner and all that stuff. And I just think that if we created a safe space where people can take a break, entrepreneurs can take a break, and listen and share. I think that's something I'd love to be part of.
Interesting. Thank you so much. A lot of guys will keep talking to us on social media. Thank you so much. The song coming up is Power, and I'm hoping that you have enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time, same place, same time. I don't know, Kunta. I have no idea. A lot of comments coming in. Winnie Kamal really enjoyed listening to Herbert, very educative. Bring him back for more, especially on investment funds. Hey, interesting, interesting. Song request Power by Mudoni, the drama queen, is coming right up. Loving Musa, thank you so much. Saying looking forward. Okay, I didn't understand, but thank you so much. Wanja Michelle, Ngendo, Nicole, and everyone of you who tuned in. Thank you so much, and see you same place, same time next week. It's gonna be bigger and better, and of course, our producer is gonna make sure that we have the greatest music that you're enjoying right now. From us to you is peace. Yes.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And jump onto entrepreneurship.
Yes.
With caution.
Jump onto entrepreneurship with caution.
You would have us forget, you would have us make it easier, have us regret, you would never say her name, you would have us forget how the mothers pressure freed their sons and daughters caught in torture chambers. Talk about it. Yeah, we've always been great for a long time now, but you always debate for a long time now what a woman should make, what a woman should take, but you never ask a woman what a basic mistake. Naona chenye mimi sitadu ni kuargue na mapala busybody like you. Wale wanafikiria sindiria ni weakness, ni better ni speechless. My actions my weakness. Keep saying not the right time. You keep telling us not the right time. You keep saying not the right time. You keep telling us not the right time. I'm my own fix. I'm my own fixer. Write my own script. Write my own scripture. And I'm so sick. Getting more sicker. See the whole mix. See the whole picture. Getting loud. Getting louder. Getting loud. Getting louder. Getting loud. Getting louder. Getting loud. Getting louder. Power, power, power. Sisi ndio power. Watoto wa hao ndio sisi hao. This time hatuchoki, this time hatuogopi, pesa hatukopi, tena hatusoti. Gumu kunishika kwanza jenga kasi vi. Mna pressure ya kumari batatu jiski. Mtabaki mukicheki, shinda mkidibeti, penye ni nageti, pesa ya kibeti. Some for the women who can be for us, who do the work for us, who make it work for us. This one for the women who can be for us, who do the work for us, who made it work for us. I'm my own fix, I'm my own fixer. Write my own script, write my own scripture. And I'm so sick, getting more sicker. See the whole mix, see the whole picture. Getting loud, getting louder. Getting loud, getting louder. Getting loud, getting louder. Getting loud, getting louder. You would always forget, you would never say a name, you would always forget. You would never say a name, you would always forget. You would never say a name, you would always forget. Talk about it. You have never been straight. You keep telling us wait. Then you switch up the date to make choker. Then you tell us we hate one another. You blame us. You keep trying to shame us, to erase us. Ooh,
it's time for business. Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and Njoroge.
Ooh, you would have us believe there is something to be we can never receive.
It's time for business on Money Mondays with Kang'ethe and
You say you
Njoroge.
like Ologomba, baby turn around and pull up to me bumper. Your skin smooth like Jojoba. Ati wanafanya nini? Wanaogopa. Dark skin na nachota, melanin na lova. Nobody can boca. Well, they tried sometime back in November. They really didn't think I would remember. Sahi, my confidence in my rise. I never used to be like this before. I used to be so damn insecure. I took a dark skin in lana. Haters always kill out. Nothing ever sweet like coco. Get on the dance floor, make them loco. You say you like Olocomba. If you turn around and pull up to me bumper. Your skin smooth like Jojoba. Ati wanafanya nini? Wanaogopa. Dark skin and not Georgia. Melanin all over. Nobody can boca. You say you like Olocomba. If you turn around and pull up to me bumper. Your skin smooth like Jojoba. Ati wanafanya nini? Wanaogopa. Dark skin and not Georgia. Melanin all over. Nobody can boca. Yeah. You don't know how I like your confidence. The way you walk, how you talk, it's evident. Black is the beauty, so more for them. You are a star, brown skin, una kill. Oh, show them who you are. You are a star, brown skin, una kill. Oh, show them who you are.
It's time for business. Money Mondays. Kang'ethe and Njoroge.
You like that toto. Like that toto star. You like loco. Like loco. You like that toto. Like that toto star. You like loco. Like loco. You like that toto. Like that toto star. You like loco. Like loco. You like that toto. Like that toto star.
You're now listening to Icon Radio. Entertainment